Thousands of people have taken part in rallies across the United States in protest of a number of President Trump's policies. Demonstrators carried banners supporting Ukraine and urged the government to stop arming Israel. Others chanted their backing for migrants who'd been deported and denounced threats to remove funding from universities. Houthi media outlets in Yemen are reporting that at least 2 people were killed and many others injured in U.S. airstrikes on the capital, Sana'a. Those outlets also reported 13 American airstrikes on the port and airport in the western city of Hodeidah. It comes after U.S. strikes on the port of Ras Isa on Friday killed at least 74 people. That's according to the Houthi-run health ministry. Pakistan is expelling tens of thousands of Afghans who the government says are undocumented or only had temporary permission to stay. According to the United Nations, close to 20,000 Afghans have been deported from Pakistan this month. Taliban officials in Afghanistan say 700 to 800 families are being deported from Pakistan daily. It expects more than 2 million people to follow in the coming months. A team of scientists say that they've discovered a new color that no human has ever seen before. It's called Olo, and this is close to what it looks like. It's kind of a blue-green hue. The researchers say it appeared during an experiment where lasers were directed into the scientists' eyes to stimulate cells in the retina. The team say the new color can't be reproduced on screens, but that it could deepen our understanding of how vision works. Thousands of people have taken part in rallies across the United States in protest of a number of President Trump's policies. Demonstrators carried banners supporting Ukraine and urged the government to stop arming Israel. Others chanted their backing for migrants who'd been deported and denounced threats to remove funding from universities.
Now, large protests have taken place across the United States to denounce the Trump administration's policies on a range of issues. Demonstrations took place outside the White House and in front of Tesla dealerships, the car brand, of course, owned by Elon Musk. One of the biggest rallies was in New York, where protesters chanted against government job cuts and in support of migrants.
Well, before we go, we can show you some live pictures now. This is in Ukraine, in Kyiv, actually. This is the St. Michael's Church. You're watching some early Easter services there. Of course, this is all taking place amid a temporary ceasefire announced by the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Cities across Ukraine racing to see if that ceasefire will hold, a temporary one around 30 hours. Of course, Ukraine has already signed on to a 30-day ceasefire, something that Russia has yet to do. But the early hours there, you see in Ukraine, people there celebrating Easter already on Sunday. I'm Carl Nassman in Washington. Stay with us for more on BBC News.
Conversations centred on autism were in the national spotlight this week here in the United States. That's after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released new statistics saying an estimated 1 in 31 US children has autism. And while that is a marked increase from 2020, health experts have attributed this to improved screenings as well as access to autism services. Now, also this week, controversial comments from the US Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sparked outrage amongst some in the autism community. Among other comments, Mr. Kennedy described it as a preventable disease. That's despite the fact that researchers and scientists have identified genetic factors associated with autism. Well, here's the Health Secretary speaking on Wednesday.
These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes, they'll never hold a job, they'll never play baseball, they'll never write a poem, they'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children.
Well, again, much of the criticism of Mr. Kennedy's remarks has been that they are not based on science. Now, all of this comes during Autism Awareness Month, and Jake Tilk and his brother Max, who is autistic, have more than 1 million followers on their social media accounts, which aim to raise awareness about autism. Before we go, we leave you with some pictures from moments ago.
And touchdown.
That is a NASA capsule carrying its oldest serving astronaut landing following a return journey to Earth from the International Space Station. It's a special day for Don Pettit, who's American. Today is also his 70th birthday. He's had quite a career, according to NASA, completing 3 space flights, logging more than 370 days in space and completing over 13 hours of spacewalks. He travelled back with 2 Russian cosmonauts. They've spent 7 months in space and they've left the International Space Station on Friday, handing over command to a Japanese astronaut. So big congratulations and, of course, happy birthday to astronaut Don Pettit.
The Israeli military has sacked a deputy commander for his role in the killing of 15 emergency workers in Gaza. An internal investigation finds several failures but says it found no evidence of execution. Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russian President Putin say fighting has continued despite a proposed Easter truce, with each leader blaming the other. Pope Francis appears at the Vatican for Easter Sunday celebrations, with thousands there to welcome him. And King Charles and Queen Camilla join other members of the royal family for an Easter Sunday service at Windsor Castle. Hundreds of people have held a protest in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, in support of restoring the monarchy. There was heavy security around government buildings as the demonstration took place. Police briefly detained several prominent members of the pro-royalist PRPP party, including its leader, after they breached barricades. Nepal's monarchy was abolished in 2008, 3 years after the king dissolved parliament and seized absolute power. The authorities in Thailand say they have arrested a Chinese executive at the company constructing a building in Bangkok, which collapsed in last month's earthquake, killing more than 50 people. The individual was working at a Thai subsidiary of a Chinese firm. Earlier this month, Thai officials found that some of the metal used in the tower had failed to meet safety standards.